Hi everyone, my name is Roslyn and this is my assignment for putting techniques into practice. Decided to use a tree for my example today to help me symbolize the different techniques. I think the tree may symbolize different things for different people. Most commonly we see it used for life and growth. When I think about the tree, I think it also helps to symbolize the learner and their branches of learning. So I thought it'd be a good example of something in nature to use for my presentation. So when I think about the tree, the base, the trunk of the tree, to me, it, much like humans, comes in all shapes and sizes. And sometimes the roots are deep and strong and sometimes not so much. And the environment they were planted in may not have been a place for them to grow and produce beautiful branches and beautiful leaves and sometimes even blossoms. And the branches are reaching out for sun and air, and for our learners, they're reaching out for knowledge. So the 4 branches for growth or teaching techniques that I will speak to, hopefully you guys can see this okay, is Blackboard in your mind, written conversation, pattern spelling, and marking for confidence. So Blackboard in your mind. So to me, I gave this the biggest branch. I think that, Blackboard in your mind is really, to me, about imagination. And I think to help ensure topics sink in and stick with the learner, I think that really requires imagination. It may take some imagination for the learner to close their eyes and picture the blackboard or whiteboard in their mind, the shape, the outline, the color of the letters in the word, and then to imagine the printed word on the board and think about each letter and the small words within the larger word. And then to break it out, really think about it in detail. It really does require some imagination, but if we do it, I think it really does help to make sure that the word structure kind of sticks in our minds. It was interesting as I went through this. I think that it's something that I've used myself over the years. I just hadn't thought about it until I didn't recognize it, I guess, until I went through this course. So I really like it. So the next branch is written conversation, and this exchange between the tutor and an adult learner is really meant to be a more relaxed approach by asking the learner to write as if they're speaking. May help to make it feel more natural for the learner. I think it's a great way to get to know each other, to help build relationships. If we start with a basic question of just how are you, and then as you get to know the learner, ask more specific questions, maybe about their hobbies or their families. And then through this, words may come up that are not spelled correctly. And instead of, calling it out and saying that they've made a mistake, by responding back to them in writing and using the word but spelled correctly, helps them to recognize the mistake and what the correct word should look like. And this can be done, using pen and paper or pencil and paper, or it can be used just done on the computer directly. So I really think this is something that would help many learners. The next technique is pattern spelling, and this is great for learners at levels 1 to 3. Using word families to help learners understand the word structure. And so, for example, start with age, A-J-E, and then ask them to add on other letters. So they could add on P for page, for example, or C for cage, or D at the end for caged, and so on. I think this is a good method for both visual and auditory learners, and it helps them put together the word structure, as I said, and you can have a little bit of fun as they keep going with it to see, as they build up each word, maybe have some fun and challenge them to see how many letters they can actually use to make up a word. So we have kind of some fun with that. And then the last technique that I want to talk about was marking for confidence. So, feedback for all of us is critical to our learning and our growth, and obviously really critical to our learners when it comes to their success and their learning. And so when we have somebody that's new or not sure of themselves, making sure that our feedback is positive, I think is really critical to make sure that we keep them engaged and that they feel comfortable and sure of themselves that they're on the right track with their course or with their learning. And so we can do that by really just start by focusing on what they are doing well. And it's important to be specific. I mean, sometimes I know I'm guilty of this, of often saying, great job. And that's all, that's all well and good, but that doesn't really tell them what was great, and it doesn't help them learn. So we really need to make sure that when we're doing marking for confidence, that we are being very specific about what we're marking them, giving them good marks for. Um, and by calling out specifically, what was great, it'll help them to recognize themselves when they've made an error. So for example, if you were talking about apostrophes, and if you were reading through the assignment together and calling out where the apostrophe was used properly in the sentence, as you go along and as you repeat the process, the learner will come to recognize when the apostrophe has not been used properly, and recognize the error, and they will make the correction themselves. So I really do believe that this is a really critical part of the learning process. And especially for us, because we have people that are coming to us after, I think that a lot of the adult learners are coming with after much thought and consideration about taking this step forward in their life. And they may be looking for help in an area that they've been trying to hide for years. And if we're not encouraging and positive with them, they may change their minds about continuing with us. So I think it's really a critical part of the process to make sure that we are, giving them that confidence as they go through the programs, the courses. So this is my full tree. I want to end this with a quote from Nelson Henderson. So I've included that kind of at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. But the quote says, the true meaning of life is to plant trees under whose shade you do not expect to sit. And I thought that was a really great quote to apply here. To me, when I think of tutoring, I believe that we are all planting trees through literacy education, and we really don't know how far the impact will go for the learner, for themselves, for their families, and for their future. So I hope everybody enjoyed this today, and I know I've loved seeing all the different examples online, and thanks everyone. Bye.